Hi, everyone. I'm Robin Matthews, and I am the Director of Administration for ICF Sacramento. And I'm thrilled to be here today with Paul Briley, who is our member spotlight, and to have this opportunity to hear more about Paul and what coaching is for him. So, Paul, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited about this.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to lead you through some questions, if that's okay. And then you can
Absolutely.
share your answers and we get to learn more about you.
Great.
Great. Well, the first question is, if I were to say fill in the blank, for me, coaching is, how would you respond to that?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's so many things, but I think deep down inside at the root of it, coaching is a pathway to impact the planet and society. There's the obvious, benefits of coaching and the benefits individually to the client. But I look at coaching as so much more because every person that we help to open themselves up and to explore possibility for themselves creates so much opportunity and creates ripple effects, right? Like every person who comes to a coach with whatever it is that they're holding that they want to, change for themselves, just going through the process, the people who are watching them go through the process are actually taking that in and taking note. The people that they interact with and share their experience with, it's just like there's all these connections of possibility and this ripple effect that happens. So, each of us coaches who feel fulfillment in what we're doing with just our little basket of clients, I say little, with our circle of clients, how regardless of how small or large, each of those people is also impacting other people, and so it really is, it's a grander effect. So coaching is important.
That is such a great point, and not something we always think about. We think we're just helping the person in front of us, but then they're paying it forward in their communities, their families, their workplaces. And so we're actually reaching such a broader audience. So thank you for bringing that to mind.
Yeah, I'm reminded of all the people from my own coaching journey, all of the people in my circle who talk about what they see and what it's inspired them to do. So there's an example right there.
That's great. So when you have that in mind, that inspiration, how do you use your own superpower in your coaching?
So I'm going to answer this one twofold. So the feedback I've been given by clients and a lot of my coaching peers, especially as I went through coach training, is that I'm present. And I recognize that acknowledgement. I'm told that I'm present, that I hold a space for people, and that when I'm talking to people, that they feel like they're the only person in the room. And when that was acknowledged to me by a couple of my classmates and my peers, it was meaningful to me, but it also was validation because I work really hard to do that. Because when you go into a coaching relationship and when you are spending that time with that person and they're bringing these very, sensitive things that they're holding to you, it is so important to be there just for them. So I would say that's, what I've been told is my coaching superpower. And then the other one is something that I haven't quite found a label for yet. So I'm open to anybody else's input on this, but there's this thing that I do, and others have told me they do it as well, where I can sit and listen and I can take all these inputs, and in my mind, I'm able to kind of rearrange them and reorganize them and then present them back through reflection to the people that I'm working with in a way that completely declutters it for them. And so I'm constantly told, it's like, how did you figure that out? I'm like, I just presented it back to you. It's what you gave me. And so I'm, for the sake of argument, I'm calling it decluttering for right now. It's like, I think that's one of my superpowers is the ability to be able to kind of just sit and listen and observe and take it in and then declutter and present it back in a way that's kind of easier to digest.
I like that term, declutter. And it makes me think too that your ability to be present probably leads into that ability to declutter because you're so with them in their moment. That must take a lot of energy though, right? To come into a coaching session so present and to have that ability to declutter and to synthesize what they're saying. So how do you take care of yourself, in between coaching sessions?
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, self-care is the topic of the day, right? And um, on the one hand, the critical voice in my head says you don't do enough of this and you don't do a good job of this. But when I listen to the inner wisdom and I really acknowledge what I do, there have been many things over the years that I do to self-care, to practice self-care, whether it was, running and exercise or the occasional massage or the manicure and pedicure, those kinds of things. What I am finding myself doing more and more these past couple of years is leaning into my solitude, leaning into my
Mm,
alone time, something that used to kind of feel strange, almost like I shouldn't be doing that. Now I'm actually going all in on it. And so when I have my downtime, when I have my alone time, I do things like turn off do not disturb on my phone. I do things like don't have an agenda. I do things like allow myself to just sit and be. And I will tell you that is not easy for me because I have always lived my life in the doing space,
mhm.
and living in the being space is still very challenging for me. And that's why I'm leaning into it, is by just unplugging. I find that the battery, you don't have to recharge the battery. The battery will recharge itself if you give it the time in the outlet to do so.
Right. I like how you talked about being into the being space and coming out of the doing space, because it is so easy to get caught up in our to-do list and in our things that we have to do. So to make time for yourself to just be, that's
Yeah.
great. And again, it brings back that theme of presence. Sounds like you're giving your time just presence with yourself.
Ooh,
Does that
that's good call out. I'm going to make note of that. Yes, yes.
does
It
that
is
lead
further
to your
practicing
own
presence.
yes. Does it lead to
Yes.
your own decluttering in your own
Yeah,
mind?
I think so. Thank you for that, Robin. Yes, great reflection. Yes. Allowing the same thing that I give to my clients, give that to myself. I guess that's a great connection there. That's awesome.
Oh, good. We're having a little mini coaching conversation, right?
Always be coach, right?
Always be a coach. Yeah, that's great. I think that's wonderful to unplug and just to be there. So, what is your greatest hope for the future?
Mm. My personal greatest hope for the future is that at some point mankind can learn to live without competition, without
Mm,
competing with each other economically, politically, physically, mentally, emotionally. There is enough space on the planet. There are enough resources on the planet if we all learn to share and not compete. So that's my personal greatest hope for the future. And I think kind of my way of being is to be able to help people see that it's possible, because that's really the thing that has to happen, right? Is it has to start with the visualization of the possibility that that can actually happen. And I personally believe there's a lot of folks out there who don't believe it's possible, and so it's my mission to help people see that it is possible.
yeah. Another opportunity to keep paying it forward and role model that belief of
Mhm.
you know, what's possible and what's hopeful out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you for that. That was a beautiful description that we can all take in. So I appreciate
Mm.
that. And then finally, what is one potentially surprising thing that brings you joy?
Mm. This one has got some recency attached to it. Surprising, but not surprising. But I love heights. I'm a big picture thinker, so in my mind, I like to go to heights. I like to zoom out, be able to see all of the landscape so that I can kind of organize it, declutter it. So that organizing and decluttering plays a role in everything. But physically, like in the environment, I love heights. I love flying and being in planes. I did skydiving 2019, loved that. I love tall buildings. I love being up in mountains. Like, I love looking at maps. I love to, if I'm going to a city or a new country or a new place, I love to look at the map first and kind of zoom out and see what the whole thing is. And so I have to give a shout out to my ICF mentor coach, Wayne Manning, because in one of my coaching sessions with him, uh, through this similar kind of question, he said, "What brings you joy?" And I was talking about heights, and he's like, "So when are you getting your pilot's license?"
Oh,
And it hit me, and I was just like, I think I've always fantasized about learning how to fly. And so guess what? I'm taking heights to a new level, and Sunday I have my first flying lesson.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh my, I'm just thrilled for you. And
Yeah.
I love that idea of something that brings you joy is heights, because for a lot of people, that's a fear, and they think of it in the opposite way. But I like how allows you to zoom out.
Yeah, yeah, love it, love it. And so
What
shout
do
out to
you
Wayne Manning for pushing me into that declaration.
what are you most excited about with your pilot's license training?
I think that I'm finally going to allow myself to be surprised. I'm not
Mm,
planning ahead, and I'm not trying to figure out what this is all going to turn into, which is a very Paul Briley thing to do. And anybody knows me, who's listening to this, will know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know if I'm going to get a pilot's license. I don't know if this is going to be the thing, but I'm going to check it out anyway. So I know I'm going to enjoy it no matter what. And we'll see what happens from here.
that's great. So keep doing things that surprise you. What a great
Yeah.
message out there. Well, I really appreciate you being here with me for the member spotlight. And I enjoyed learning more about you and presence and zooming out and decluttering your brain for yourself and for your clients. What a fun conversation. So thank you so much for being a part of our member spotlight. And we look forward to seeing you at future chapter events and meetings.
You will for sure. I'm excited to be part of the chapter now. So thank you for letting me do this.
Yeah, great. See you soon.